You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
It was like living in hell every day. Yeah, it was so hard. And then when he made it seem like, okay, maybe I won't kill myself. I will kill you and I will kill your whole family. So it's not that these are just threats. It's threats by someone who has been physically violent to you. So you take them seriously. They've shown you who they are and they're fucking violent.
This week's episode features Emily Quint. Emily is an advocate, author of the book My Sunflower Soul. In this conversation, Emily shares her harrowing journey through emotional, physical, and sexual trauma and her path to healing. From cancer, using alcohol to self-medicate, and fertility issues, Emily reflects on how trust, betrayal, healing, and resilience shapes her understanding of life and relationships. This episode is part 1 of 2.
My name is Emily Quint. I currently live in Fergus, Ontario, but I grew up in Sarnia, Ontario, which is just across from Port Huron, Michigan. So I grew up in southwestern Ontario and then went away to school in St. Catharines. And then from there lived in Toronto for about 6 years. Just recently, I've been out of Toronto for the past 2-3 years. I'm married. I have a very incredible husband who I met actually during a really dark chapter in my life. So I always refer to him as like he was the sunlight peeking through the clouds. Honestly, things were getting rough there. Like I was kind of like, I might be single for the rest of my life and like starting to kind of like make amends with that.
How old were you at that time?
So not old. I met him when I was 28. So it was like just before then, but I was talking to honestly, sitting down, having a conversation with my parents around like, would you support me going through like fertility treatments on my own? Like I knew I wanted to be a mom. And so it was like, maybe I go through this route on my own. And then I met him. I think for me, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but I had been in a really abusive relationship that just like shook me to the core. And then had a relationship after that I wouldn't say was like abusive, but definitely there were some like emotional toxic pieces that like looking back, I was like, oh, like kind of like I had gotten myself into it again. And so a lot of
Would you say abusive? Was he like coercive or was he like needing a mommy kind of thing or both?
Certainly needing a mommy. And the more I learned, like huge mommy issues. Mom, like his mom struggled with alcoholism. And there was multiple times when I would experience her berating him. Like there was definitely more there. But yeah, no, like looking back now, I would say he was really manipulative. Like he would not invite me to things and like make it seem like I was like the issue. Like, why are you reacting like that? I found out at the beginning of our relationship, he was seeing multiple other girls and sleeping around. So yeah, relationship didn't start off on the best foot. But I think in my head, it was like, at least he's not hitting me, right? Like at least I don't have bruises. But looking back now, honestly, like all the emotional pieces that I experienced from both of them, that took longer to heal from than any bruise or concussion like ever could have.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Even from like children with abusive parents. Can't you just hit me? At least it's over when it's done. Like, damn, well, I'm sorry that you experienced both of those kind of issues. And like, to be like, well, at least I don't have a concussion. Like, that's insane that you, one, got a concussion from a guy that you were in love with.
Yeah.
And two, the next guy, you'd rather have the concussion. Like, it's something I never have had to worry about. And it's sad.
It is really sad. It's really sad. Like, that's it. There are like no other words. It's sad. It's fucking heartbreaking. And I think when I was in it, I didn't understand that, right? Like, I think in so many ways, you're in survival mode. You're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get through. But now, like, being older and being like out of that is like, holy shit. Like, what I went through, wow. Like, now you can see it through clear glasses. Like, there's no rose tinted colored glasses anymore. You can see it as it was.
What were your parents' relationship like growing up?
Great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So my parents are high school sweethearts. I'm sure that they've had their difficulties, but we never saw anything as kids. Or my parents were and are super, super supportive. And kind of like when I got to that like adult age, you know, where some people do make the decision to like separate from their parents. For me, that was never a question. It was like my parents are my support system. Like, yeah, and just never seeing any of that. Like, home was such a safe space that I think it was like even more confusing as to like how I got myself into it and couldn't get myself out of it.
Yeah, you did. So you must have been self-aware enough to be like, I know what a marriage looks like. This isn't quite right.
It's very true. Yeah.
But you got out of it.
I did. I think me sitting here right now and saying like, Todd, I want to share this story with you, I think is huge, because prior to writing my book, no one in my world, not no one in my world, very few people, like my family knew, but people didn't really know exactly how I got out of this relationship because there was so much shame of how it happened.
This the first relationship or the second one?
The first one. Yeah. So the first one, I was in and out of hospital. I had lost hearing in my right ear. It was like swollen and purple. He abused me in every way you could have ever imagined. I was just a 22-year-old who was so happy to finally feel loved, like by someone who wasn't my family, that the first time he hit me, I couldn't believe it, because it was like, okay, but he loves me. Like, and so at the beginning, now I look back and I'm like, he was love bombing you, right? Like all of those things, gaslighting. But at the time I was still like, okay, but he loves me. So like, let me just stay. But things got really, really bad. I ended up escaping our apartment one night when we lived in St. Catharines and running down the main road of St. Catharines. And he ended up catching up to me, but there were other people around. And so then he got in a fight with some other men who were at a bar nearby, who were like, because I was screaming, crying, running, like, somebody help me, someone call the cops, because it had been hours of him physically abusing me in the home. And then I ended up getting hit at a pizza. Like, he was fighting some other man, and I ended up getting hit. And when I hit the floor, I wasn't unconscious, but I was like, you stay down here, because down here is where you're safe. And the ambulance came and they took me, and they said, a police officer came in and said to me, like, you have to press charges. We cannot do this without you. Do you want to charge this person? And I had been brutally abused for hours. I had a concussion. I was bleeding. I had burns along my legs. And all of a sudden, right, they're asking me, like, do you want to press charges? Like, this is what you have to do. And they said to me, like, we've seen this before, and women typically only leave these relationships in body bags. And in that moment, I was like, just get me to the hospital. Like, just get me. It wasn't like, here, Emily, you can talk to like a mental health nurse or like a social worker. It was like, you have to make this decision now.
Oh my God. I can't even make a decision when I first wake up, let alone after I was beaten.
It's so true. And like so this was in 2016. And so kind of in the last 2 years, I've done a lot of advocacy around like first responders, police, and being trauma informed, right? Like, what the fuck did you expect me to do when my body and mind thought that we were going to die half an hour ago? right? And now you're making me make this decision. And I think some people might be like, well, you just say yes and just go ahead with it. And it's like, but I have no idea what that looks like. In that moment, I still don't know if I'm going to live or die, right? Like I was in so much pain that it was like, just get me to the hospital.
Well, and usually, like, once you make that decision, then there's 10 other decisions you have to make within the next half hour. It's like, okay, well, who's your lawyer? Where do you live? Where are you going to stay tonight? Blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I just want to stop the physical pain right now. Like, I can't even
Exactly.
think.
Exactly. And then they'd need the first statement, and then you'd have to go and do the CCTV statement, right? So it's like, it's actually not
It's not practical.
like it's not. It's not.
This is shit I've never thought of before. Again, like, I can't relate,
Yeah.
for one thing, because, well, one, I'm a man, and like odds of me, I mean, I know it happens to
Yeah.
men, but,
Yeah.
and then two, it's like, yeah, this is like, these are details that people should know. Like, people, like, I'm so glad you're talking to police and first responders and stuff, because, like, yeah, we, especially male ones, because we can't relate. We don't know.
Yeah.
We think we're helping you by,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think like it's not like I want to like fault them, right? Because ultimately they want this person to be held accountable, or they want justice, right? Like they want this cycle of harm to stop.
They want justice for you.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's like in that moment, what did I need? Right? I didn't need that. Like we'd get to that further down the road, right? That right there in that moment, I need to know that I was safe and that I was going to get care and be assessed.
Right. Let
Um,
me ask you this. So if you
yeah.
said, no, I don't want to charge, can you change your mind later? Or are they like, no, you said no, and that's it?
So that's a wonderful question. I don't know when it comes to domestic violence, or like intimate partner violence. I know with sexual violence, you can at any time. So I believe with intimate partner violence, they still have this on file somewhere. And so that's actually something that I want to do over the next little while, is reach out to find out what do my files or his files, I don't know, like what do they say? Because this wasn't the only time that the police were involved. But yeah, it's my understanding that you most likely can. Once again, I'm not, that's a thing, right? It's not very clear on what that looks like. Yeah. So then from there, I get to the hospital. They were like, yep, you have like a really bad concussion. We're going to run more tests. So this was 2016. This was pre-COVID. Hospitals weren't the atrocity that they are now. I waited for 5 hours with no one checking in on me. And by that point, I had become suicidal. I'd say for most of the relationship, it was horrific. But by that point, I was like, I have no one, right? Like they don't even care enough to come check in on me. They said they wanted to do further testing and they didn't. So I ended up just literally, I walked out of the hospital and he was in the parking lot in my car. And he said, get in the car, we're going home. And I didn't have anywhere else to go. So I got in the car and I went home, and less than a week later, he beat the shit out of me again. I honestly thought that I would like die in this relationship. It was like either he kills me or I kill myself. Like I don't see how I can get out of it. And I know like as a society, I think we've come a long way, but I still think there's rhetoric around like, how come people don't leave? I tried multiple times. It's not easy when you don't have anywhere to go, or like the people in your life, right? Like abusers are good. They isolate you from everyone. As we were just talking about, I have such an incredibly close relationship with my family. For that year that him and I were together, barely saw them.
The abusers are a lot like, I've heard this before, Reddit or something. They're like cult leaders, good.
Yep.
Coercive control, the whole love bombing, and then
Yep.
gaslighting, and it's fucking scary. It's like, if I had that superpower, why use it for that?
Yeah. And he convinced me. There was so much that had happened in our relationship, the control and the manipulation. And it was like, he would sexually assault me and videotape it and then say, if you ever leave, I'm going to send it. My mom was a teacher. So it was like, I'm going to send it to your mom's school. So it was, well, fuck, like I can't leave, right? Like they make you feel like you're like stuck, and no matter what you do, you're never going to win. Then convincing me like your parents won't love you once this comes out, or like I have all this dirt. Like it was, what is it? Extortion? Like,
Yeah. Sextortion.
yeah, extortion. Exactly.
Well, here's something you
Yeah.
kind of breezed over it, but I just talked to someone who was married to a serial rapist, and not just her, but lots of women, and the subject of how are you raped in a marriage or in a relationship or whatever. It's like, it happens. Like, if you say no, whether you're married to them or not, that's rape.
Yeah.
Newsflash, everyone, that's rape.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to make that point before we moved on.
Yes. No, and it's so true. I think so now I'm that story's not over, but I'm doing my master's of social work. So I'm working at a gender-based violence like sexual assault center in Guelph. Right now we have so many women coming in, a lot of students as well coming in saying like, but he's my boyfriend, but he's my husband. Can this actually happen? And so there's a lot of education around like, yes, it very much can, right? And a lot of like teaching around what consent looks like, right? It's not the absence of no, it has to be an enthusiastic yes. And then when there's control involved, yeah. So it very much does happen in relationship. So yeah, a few days after the second really bad assault, we were actually going to Toronto for a Drake concert, and we actually
that's abuse right there.
I don't like Drake anymore.
Do you like pizza?
No.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be
Yeah.
triggering.
Right. We were in the honeymoon phase after the most recent attack, right? Like he was promising like, this is never gonna happen again. I love you so much. Like, what gifts do you want? And by this time, I was like, you're full of shit. And I have to play this role to keep myself safe. Because if I come at you saying you're full of shit, this honeymoon phase will end much quicker than it usually will, right? So it was really weird. It was like, how do I play your game? I was so exhausted all the time because my mind was just like, how do we stay protected? How do we stay alive? So yeah, we went to the Drake concert and some girl messaged me and was like, I just want to let you know he's sleeping with me and numerous other girls. He's saying that you're just roommates. He's making a fool out of you. So he was at the concession stand getting popcorn when I got that message.
Did you know this girl?
No.
But she had your number?
Sorry, message me on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay.
But never heard of her before. And I went down to the concession stand and I showed it to him and I said, what the fuck is this? What? And he looked at me and was like, you're delusional. You're delusional like all these other girls. Like literally just threw it back on me. It was like, you're so stupid. No one could ever love you. Like if you leave me because of this. And what does Emily do? I end up hitting him.
At the concert.
I punched him in the face. And next thing I knew, security had me and police were coming and I was arrested. He was scream crying. She's my girlfriend. She didn't mean to do it. I caused this. Let her go. They didn't. They had it was assault. I hit him. That's assault. You can't do that. I was arrested and I was taken immediately. The concert hadn't even begun, but I was taken to jail and they strip searched me. Literally, it was like I was a criminal who they had been looking for years. Like, thank goodness we got her. Like, we're keeping the community safe. I had my earrings ripped out of my ears.
What?
Yeah.
This is Toronto police.
Toronto police. It was a woman. And I was placed in like a derelict room. It had like one of the old school chairs where the chair is connected to the desk. And there was like graffiti all throughout the room. And it was just like the smallest little cell. But yeah, no, this was sketchy. And I was scared, right? They didn't talk to me once again for a long time. And finally, they're like, your brother and your sister, I don't have a sister. It was my sister-in-law now, but my brother's girlfriend, who had come to get me. And they're like, yeah, you're out on bail.
So they never asked him if he wanted to press charges. They just pressed charges on you. But yet he beat the living piss out of you, and they needed your permission to charge him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I follow.
Yeah. I'm glad you caught that.
And another thing. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good.
When that woman texted you and said he's making a fool out of you, I'm sorry, but that is also gaslighting you. Don't call me a fool. You're what? Like, that's not a way to reach out to another woman. I'm sorry.
I know. That's such a good point. At the time, I was like just so pissed at him. But yeah, if I would have been in her position,
calling someone a fool? Calling a victim a fool?
Clearly, you have no idea what I've been going through if that's the way that you're going to speak to me. And like, I don't know. People are just, anyways.
Yeah.
So
but not everyone's as emotionally intelligent as me, I guess, Emily.
Exactly. I believe it.
It's taken me 45 years.
So then they brought me back to the condo. Yeah, like I was an emotional mess, right? Because it was, maybe I am the problem. I hit him and now I've been arrested, right? Like the self-blame thoughts and like victim blaming thoughts that are so pervasive in society. It was like I was feeling all of that and then feeling like I did hit him. Like I am a bad person. Like I'm being arrested because I did this. So then like after talking to my family who was there, they were like, yeah, he was lingering around because he wanted to come back to the apartment.
Lingering around.
So he was lingering around the jail. So he left the concert as well, I guess, and walked to the jail and then was lingering around there because he was like, well, I have nowhere to go. She's my girlfriend still. But my terms of being released were to not go anywhere near him, and he had to abide that as well. All of that to say, I did have to get a defense lawyer and things were acquitted right away. I had, for the last months, I had a GoPro set up in our apartment and I had been keeping an evidence. Honestly, Todd, I thought that he would kill me. So it was like, here's the evidence, like so that my parents won't think that I killed myself or like there's no spinning that around. It was like, here is all of it. This is what he did to me. And so here it just so happened like that was my evidence for what they called at the time battered women syndrome. So it was, yes, she did hit him. She was like, in a way, self-defense.
Well, that's very common. Women that get into abusive relationships will also become abusive eventually. Yeah. And then everyone just looks at them like, oh, what a toxic, silly couple. And no, that's a learned behavior and whatever else. And I know you're tearing up when you're talking about it. It's so incredibly fucking sad that you were able to set up video so that in case you did die, there was this evidence, but you were able to do that, but still not be able to leave. That is fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. It's just because it doesn't make sense, but I also know it happens and there's a reason why it happens. And that's how powerful these manipulators and coercive control is. And I'm so sorry, Emily. Jesus.
Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, I believe that if I didn't hit him, because then the law was involved and the law was do not talk to him because then you will like breach of order or whatever. And then it will be really bad for you. And same with like, it went both ways. So it was like he couldn't contact me either, even though he still did numerous times. I had to change my phone number twice and lock down like all my social media accounts and everything. He would hack them. And then, anyways. So it wasn't the end for him, but for me, it was like, okay, this is over. I have found my way out. Now there's the law in the way and hopefully he will abide by that. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who don't have similar stories to mine, right? Like you find out women have been killed because the law being involved means nothing to the other person. In this case, I believe it was enough. Even though he did continue to harass me, it stopped. And I got out. I finally got out.
I've actually talked to women who the men will then take their own lives and
Yeah.
write big long letters of like, you did this to me, and like that's like the ultimate abuse.
I believe he found a new target. He found someone new, because in 2016 was when that was August. In May of 2021, so 5 years later, his sister messaged me. So at the time I was Emily Egger. I wasn't married, obviously, but it was like, is this the Emily Egger who dated my brother? And she said, he hasn't stopped. He is so angry. Why didn't you report to police? Like, it was like a lot. And so I ultimately didn't end up responding to her. But to find out that 4 years after the police were involved, he nearly killed me, to find out that he was still doing this.
Oh, she was upset that you didn't charge him and get
Yeah.
him like.
Yeah. So when I did get acquitted, my lawyer said there's enough evidence to go after him. Do you want to do that? And then he kind of laid it out to me, because he is a defense lawyer. He's like, this is what it would look like. Can you handle that? At that moment, I was like, I can't. Like, I was a shell of a person. I didn't know how to exist on my own, because somebody had been calling the shots for me for months. And it was like learning how to function again. Yeah, it was. I think another thing that comes up for me. So in high school, I lost a close friend to suicide. And that crushed me. Like, that was so hard. And I had told this boyfriend about that. And so one of his things was, if you ever leave me, I'll kill myself, and then you'll have my blood on your hands too. Right. Like, even though I didn't kill my friend, he like leaned into that. It was like living in hell every day. Yeah, it was so hard. And then when he made it seem like, okay, maybe I won't kill myself, I will kill you and I will kill your whole family. So there's also that element that I think that people don't really understand. It's not that these are just threats, but it's threats by someone who has been physically violent to you. So you take them seriously. It's not just that somebody's saying this, but they've shown you who they are, and they're fucking violent.
Yeah, it's not an empty threat. Did he come from a traumatic childhood or fucked up family, or
So,
not that I'm making excuses for him, but you know.
no, I agree. So I will say yes. However, I don't know if what he told me is true or not.
I've heard that so many times too.
Yeah. But I do believe in my life, the way that I function is, if somebody tells me that they're a victim, if somebody tells me that they're a survivor, I believe them. So I do still believe him. He grew up playing not in the OHL, but just under, so like junior A hockey. And he had shared with me that mom and dad had both physically and sexually abused him growing up, related to hockey and his performance. And so that was, honestly, it was one of the first things that he shared with me that really like tugged on my heartstrings. And, as a 22-year-old, I was like, well, now I need to fix this man. Right. So
When he was abusing you, would that thought be in your head like, oh, he's so damaged, or that was out the window?
that was
Like,
out the window.
no empathy at all, you fucker.
No. Yeah. Yeah. When he was abusing me, it was certainly that. And I think the first time that he did abuse me, so the first time he hit me was during sex. He slapped me across the face. And before I could even do anything, he hit me again. And it wasn't like I'll love it. I don't know. It was like, because some people would be like, well, some people enjoy that. No, that's not what it was. It was violent. It was power and control. It was to hurt me. And then after that, the next time I did like not fight back, but I did like, because I was on the ground. So I was like kicking, telling him to get off me. But then you quickly learn like that's not going to get you anywhere. So you just have to like try to protect yourself, but like play dead. Like, just try to make sure that you will be able to open up your eyes when it's all over.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And you know what? It's really interesting, because the men in my family would never do that to someone, and my husband would never do that to someone. So when I did, like, obviously when I met Brandon, my husband, and we had conversations around our lives and like sharing this with him, and to have someone like it, just as you had said, right? Like to have someone say that to me was like, wow, there are good ones out there.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
There
actually.
are a lot. There are a lot.
They're just all ugly.
No.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but I think it's hard because, like, as a woman, and I really had to, through my own healing, it was like, okay, I can't label all men as bad, all men as evil. Like I wanted to. I felt it in my body. I would, after that, I would walk down the street and I would pass a man and I would like go like I would literally try to go into a ball. My skin would crawl, right? And so it was about relearning like, yes, a man did this to me. Yes, doesn't mean all men will do this to me. And I think that sometimes our society still is, yes, not all men, but most men, right? And it's like, that's really not fair to
most men.
Most men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You're obviously still very emotional talking about this stuff. And for those of you that aren't watching on video, she's crying. No. She's tearing up anyway. But
yes.
is some of that shame and guilt? I mean, I'm sure you don't feel that now, but at one point where you're like, I was an idiot. What the fuck was I thinking? How did I let this happen? And so on and so on. And all the, gaslighting yourself.
Yeah. So back then, and I would say even
that's okay. You could cry. I'm not saying, you're going to cry, but
I'm just even like, so I met Brandon in 2022 and we got married end of 2023. So things went quite quickly for us. And then we had to go into couples therapy because we both had our own traumas that were colliding. And I think I had thought that I had healed from all these things, but then to be in a healthy relationship, it was such foreign territory that, triggers were popping up left, right, and center. And I was like, this isn't me. This isn't him. Like, I need to dig deeper and get to those roots of what's actually happening here.
Hey, I gotta tell you, having a podcast isn't all that easy, especially in this day and age when trends and things are changing so quickly. I can't keep up with it, and honestly, I don't like doing it. I like the creating part. That's why I reached out to Carrie Hyman. She's the genius behind Your Voice Consulting. With more than 25 years of experience in communications and engagement, Carrie helps organizations connect with purpose and clarity. Known for her practical approach and steady leadership, she's built lasting relationships across industries and communities, guiding teams to communicate with confidence, empathy, and impact. And I can tell you, she is a long-term good friend of mine, and all of that is 100% true. So if you have an organization or a corporation of any kind, and you're spinning your tires, or you're needing some extra help, some advice, I'm telling you right now, go to yourvoiceconsulting.com and contact Carrie.
And so through therapy, individual as well as counseling, a lot of it was coming from me still believing that I caused that, or if I just would have done blank, it wouldn't have happened. Or like who I am as a person is I trust people, I see the best in them, and I believe in transformation. That caused my downfall, right? So it was a lot of like, honestly, relearning who I am. And I really had to get to that core of like, I didn't cause this and I didn't make it worse and I didn't deserve this. And so, when I still do get emotional, and I said to my therapist, I said, like, I don't think I will ever live my life now fully healed from what happened to me. I don't think so. I think I'm going to carry it in pieces, and I'm still going to show up, and I'm still going to be able to love and receive love and be healing. But I don't think that those wounds will ever fully go away. So I look back now, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're almost at 10 years since this relationship ended.
There's scar tissue, and that's fine. That's okay. I mean, it's some of my darkest moments. I mean, I hate to this is very cliche, but it's like, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have learned all the lessons I've learned if I hadn't gone through them. But
It's true.
which sounds really hokey or unfair, or I don't know, all of it, but it's reality, I guess.
Yeah.
You're also helping people, like with your book, with talking to me, with doing public speaking. You're also helping so many people because of what you went through. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It's also like honestly, after like that relationship, I did start sharing about it.
Oh,
Um
right after.
yeah, it ended in August, and in January I ended up in so it's called CAMH here. It's the Center for Addictions and Mental Health. I had gone missing on a night out. I wasn't actually missing, but I was reported missing. I left a bar and was walking down a road and was like, yeah, if anyone like abducts me, like hits me, like I'm fine with it. Like I didn't want to be alive anymore. Everything was so heavy. And, I think people may believe like leaving's the hardest part, but it's actually in what follows, because then you have to face everything, right? Like it's like the flashbacks, the nightmares, like not knowing if you can exist in the world again. Like feeling super unsafe in your body, in the world.
Were you second guessing too?
Yeah, everything. And I was like, is he there? Like hypervigilance, right? It was constant. And so the police found me, they took me in, and I was assessed. And at that time, they diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder. Now I've had like extensive assessments done, and they were like, this is how your trauma was manifesting. You were manifesting in that way, right? Because there was such a like self-harm element. This is what we believe you have. The good thing is though, and this is why I share this story, was they had a study being done, and so it was for DBT. For those who don't know, it's dialectical behavior therapy, which was created by an individual who had BPD and then created this therapy for folks with BPD. It's now been translated, so it's for multiple other mental health and trauma related concerns. But there was a study being done at this hospital, and is 6 months of DBT as good, as effective as 12 months? So it was free. So I got into this and I was in the 6 months group. It changed my life. At that point, like, as I had said, like, I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to exist in this world. And through that therapy, I gained, like, it is really skills based. So I learned so many skills that I still use to this day and now use with clients around like emotion regulation, distress tolerance, right? Like, how do we bring ourselves back down? Because life is life. And there are going to be times when we get triggered. There are going to be times when we experience anger or sadness, hopelessness, right? How do we bring ourselves back down or back up? And so that really changed the trajectory for me. Like it made all the difference. And I'm so grateful for it.
So what's the difference between CBT and DBT? CBT being cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah. So CBT is more like
Oh, one's a D. That's the difference.
D. Yeah.
No, sorry. I'm sure it's deeper than that.
CBT is very focused on our thoughts, right? Like how do we identify our thoughts and how do we like kind of categorize them and then ultimately change them, because it's the belief that like our thoughts impact our emotions, impact our behaviors, right? Like they're all interconnected, which DBT still does hold that belief, but then it really brings in these tangible skills. So like one of the examples for distress tolerance skills, it's called TIP. So the first one is like
just the tip. Oh my God. This is why I edit. It's not because of my guest. It's always like my mouth is like, and then my brain thinks of it. It's like, why did I fucking say? Sorry. Just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah. So TIP, the T starts for temperature, right? So it's like when you are feeling distressed, temperature regulation. So that's like running your hands under cold water, taking a cold shower, holding an ice cube, putting it on your head.
So like actual physical things you can do.
Yes. And then I is like intense exercise. So for some folks, like if you're feeling really distressed, like do 10 jumping jacks,
Just 10?
as many as you want.
Okay. I'm like, you know what? I haven't done jumping jacks since I was a kid, so probably
Yeah.
10 would be like, oh
10
my
would-
God.
And then like paced, I think there's 2 P's. So paced breathing, which before that, I didn't know much about breathing, right? Like we didn't learn it in school. Like it wasn't like, it was just something you did. And it wasn't like that you could use your breath to help reduce anxiety or all these things. There was none of that. So to finally learn like, okay, I can be with my breath and that can help. Like that also was a game changer. It sounds so simple, but it was huge. And then the second one, it was progressive muscle relaxation. But yeah, that's just one of the skills. There's a ton of skills.
See, for me,
Mhm.
it would be nice knowing all that stuff. And like, I kind of already do know a lot of that stuff. It's then doing it.
Yeah.
It's the accepting that I'm actually emotionally dysregulated.
Yeah.
Want to be, because oh my God, I won't turn this into a therapy session, but it's like, it's like once you have it and you become an advocate, especially, it's like, you don't want to admit to yourself that you still have these issues. And then when it happens, it's like shame and guilt all over again. I'm not going to do that. I'll be okay.
Mhm.
I'm not going through it right now. And then, all hell breaks loose for a couple of days and you're like, shit,
I
I
hear
guess I should have
you.
used those tools.
Yeah. And I think that's why like it is so ongoing and we need to be reminded of these things, right? Like
We'll never be cured. It's like
no.
a maintenance, it's constant maintenance and
Yeah. Constant.
reevaluating and
Yeah.
self-awareness. And
Yeah.
so that was life-changing, all that
Yeah.
DBT. And
It really was. And I think like around that time too, I also became sober.
you were overdoing it with alcohol and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
at that, after the relationship or during the relationship too?
During, before, I honestly, I would say, like, because I grew up with anxiety and depression, and then the one friend that we talked about our depression together ended up dying by suicide. I just like unraveled. And so it was like the only thing. And at that time, I was not in tune with my emotions as I am now. Like, I've learned so much. For me, it's taken 32 years. But alcohol has always been an issue in my life. Like, it's never made anything better, it's made things 10 times worse. And so that was the first time that I really looked at myself. Alcohol is making myself it's making alcohol is making my life and my relationship with myself and with others worse.
But the instant dopamine's pretty cool. It's not a long-term solution, that's for sure.
And it was like, I don't know how else to deal with these things. Like, so it was just like, okay, let's just get drunk. And as you said, it was the beginning was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I feel so buzzed. Like, what a riot. But I never knew when to stop because it was never enough. It was like, drink more because you need to keep this going. You need to keep feeling this. You need to, and then all of a sudden, either I'm blacking out, I'm puking the next morning, like shaking uncontrollably. These are signs that, and like not being able to go to school, not being able to go to work, like these are signs that like there's something going on here. Like this isn't serving you.
Well, not just that, but you're walking down a road by yourself, middle of the night, suicidal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah. And then there was a lot of like questioning, who am I without alcohol? Because I was a fun party girl, right? So it was like, that's who I am. That's how people know me. Like, who would I be if I wasn't that? What would I do on a Friday night?
Isn't that a terrifying thought when you're getting sober?
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. It is scary. It's scary in so many ways. And I think now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, the hold it had on me. Like it truly had me convinced that I couldn't exist without it. That was the first time getting sober. That lasted about a year. Now I've been sober for over 2 years and it's lifelong. I will never touch it again. I'm done. Sorry.
Oh, those are famous last words.
I am a different person because now I feel my emotions. I do. I feel them and I don't push them away. As you can see, right? Like before, Emily would have been like, okay, cover this, no crying, right? But now I'm like, no, 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 no. you're feeling this, you need to release that. So that's where I'm different.
So your behaviors are different.
My behaviors are different.
But is Emily a different person?
No, people are like, wait, you're sober? Like if we do go to like an event or something or someone's birthday, they're like, wait, you and your husband both don't drink? Like you're sober right now? It's like, yeah, and I'm still friggin' fun. Like,
I just go to bed earlier.
yeah, I go to bed earlier. I'm going to get a good sleep. And you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to have breakfast and I'm going to go for a walk. But yeah, in general, my mental health is so much better. And so that's where I see the difference. Yeah, every day is still different. Like I still have my really, really hard days and my really, really good days, but it's not because of alcohol. And it's interesting because, like, at the beginning of Brandon and I's relationship, I did drink. And so he doesn't like drinking. He doesn't have issues with alcohol, but he just does not like alcohol. So at the beginning of our relationship, he would drink because I drank, right? And he was like, well, I want her to like me. I don't want her to think that I'm not fun. But now that I'm sober and he does not drink, it's so much better for our relationship. And at the same time, I think he feels so much more comfortable in himself because he doesn't have to act like someone he's not, right? And he gets to see the true me. So we haven't even talked, but I had cancer even before the abusive relationship. I know. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. I forgot to mention I was a conjoined twin for 30 years too, and then we got separated. Good God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of cancer?
So I had cancer. I was diagnosed when I was 20 years old. I had stage 2B Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I had cancer in my my left neck and my left chest. It was actually like wrapped around the aorta of my heart. It was pretty challenging initially, like getting a diagnosis, because I grew up with anxiety. And so you'd go to the hospital and they'd be like, like this truly happened. I went to the hospital having like severe chest pains and they did an x-ray and they checked my blood work and they said, I see on your chart you have anxiety. Are you taking your anxiety medications? And I said, yeah, I'm petrified not to. And they're like, okay, well, everything's fine. This is just your anxiety. So just make sure you're taking your medications and seeing a counselor. We think that you should do like some cognitive behavioral therapy for this, and then sent me on my way. And a few weeks later, that's when the site in my neck really grew. And so I had multiple lumps in my neck and was still having those bad chest pains, but I trusted them. Like they're the experts. So I was like, okay, this is just anxiety. I'm just going through like a really bad wave of it right now. Like just stay the course, just be okay. I was at university.
I don't think neck lumps are a
Yeah.
symptom of anxiety.
So
But, yeah.
when the neck lumps came, it was also a host of other symptoms. Like I'd wake up in the morning and the whole bed would be soaked from night sweats, and the weight was kind of just like dropping off of me. But I was a 20-year-old girl, so I was like, this is cool. I'm like skinny, like look at me. And I ended up like, once the neck lumps really made their presence, I went to my family doctor and they said, oh, it looks like you have an infection that has like they had said probably sinus that's like now migrated to like your lymph nodes. Let's just give you antibiotics and then come check back in. But then they started like, I kid you not, my neck was like out to here. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And that was after. So then I was at school and I went to a walk-in and the doctor saw my neck and I didn't know it was cancer, but he like the way he looked at me, I was like, oh my gosh, like something's wrong. And he sent me for a neck ultrasound for the next day. And then I got my results back and they said it's compatible with lymphoma. And I was like, and he's like, yeah, that's cancer. We're not diagnosing you with cancer right now, but it's compatible. So you have to do like further testing, but it does look like you have cancer. And I was like, I'm 20 years old. Like, what are you talking about? So I ended up calling my parents and they drove the 3 hours to come get me. And I was in denial, like initially. Like I was like, okay, they said maybe. So let's just, it's a maybe. It's not a yes. And then the testing took about 2 weeks. I had a neck biopsy and it came back inconclusive. So they didn't know. So then, or sorry, it was a chest biopsy first because that was less invasive. They could just stick something in my chest and pull some tissue out. And that came back inconclusive. And then they did the neck one where they actually could take like a good piece of it out. And then on Valentine's Day of 2014, it was when I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And things changed really quickly for me. It was like, I had just gone from like being that university party girl who's like, my job is just to party and have a good time and live my life. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, you're actually this 20-year-old who now has to like fight for your life. So chemo began shortly after. And that's something that I don't cry when I talk about it anymore, but it's something that honestly, like, it's hard to even remember because you just have to go through the motions. Every week you're at the clinic getting blood or getting chemo and just hoping that the tumors would shrink.
You're literally just surviving.
Yeah. And so it's so surreal because I look back now, as I said, I just turned 32, but I'm like, I don't even remember that time in my life. Like, so when I was writing my book, that was really hard. I had to lean on, like, I used to do Tumblr, like blog posts and stuff. So I had to lean on a lot of that because I was blogging that in real life. Because now when I look back at that time period, I was surviving. And even now I'm like, have I fully processed what I've gone through then? Because it was just, you have to get through it. You cannot stop. You will die. The good thing feels so weird saying the good thing, but they were really honest with me. They said, like, with your age, your health, even the type of cancer, and that it was caught stage 2, the prognosis looks good. You just have to get through chemo. And so I always had that in my mind, right? It was like, that's like the finish line. Like, it's going to be a marathon, but there is a finish line in sight. This is what we're going to go through. We're going to do 12 chemotherapy treatments and then some radiation, and then you'll be done and you'll be good. And if it comes back, then we'll get it again, right? Like, they were very honest with me about like how treatable it is. You just have to do it.
No operations at all?
No, there were no operations. I actually didn't even have to end up doing radiation. We got to 12 chemos and they did a PET scan and they were like, it's still continuing to shrink. We're not going to do radiation. We're going to hit you with 4 more chemos. So that was really, really hard because chemo was excruciating. And, I'd look in the mirror and be like, who is that? Like, I had obviously no hair on my head, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, like not a lick of hair on my body. And like, I looked like an alien and I'm 20 years old. Like, this is like the prime time of my life or whatever. So that was hard. But they were like, radiation, especially where it would have been like the radiation could then impact my thyroid and the radiation in here could then impact my heart, probably more than the chemo would. And it was like, you're still responding to it. So let's just hit you with the 4 more chemos. And then it was all over. Everything was gone. And so I was diagnosed February 14th, 2014. And by November 13, 2014, I was in remission. So it truly was from here to here, but you get there, you're done, you're good.
So it's like you wake up and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Literally, what just happened? Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you think about that when you're in that relationship with your abuser? You're like, I did not survive cancer to be with this fuckhead.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like when you and I started talking, right? We just started talking about that and I'm like, shit, we didn't even talk about the cancer. And like, I think that this is important to talk about because after chemo, my hair was growing back. I was still wearing a wig and I met him in March of 2015. So it was only a few months, not even half a year after chemo. So my hair was still really short. I was still very vulnerable.
self-conscious a little bit too? Oh,
self-conscious,
okay.
right? Like it was just like my self-esteem had been ripped from me. My belief in my health, like even though I had beat cancer, I was petrified of it coming back. And they do tell you in the next 5 years, there is a likelihood that it'll come back. And so it was like, am I in the clear? Am I not in the clear? My body didn't look like it used to. It didn't really like function like it used to. Like I was athletic growing up, but then I like couldn't run anymore. Like it like really impacted my or my lungs and like my breathing. And so then when I met him, as I said, I was still wearing a wig. I still didn't know who I was after cancer. Like it's wild because you survive something that could have taken your life and you're like, okay, but like who am I now? Because I can't go back to who I was before because that was wild what we just did. Like what? And then I met him and he was, oh my gosh, like you're a cancer survivor, like you're so beautiful. Like just
This is so cult leadery.
everything you want to hear from somebody. You know what? You can't even tell that you're wearing a wig. You can take your wig off and like, I will still love you. Like literally 2 days later, he was like, I love you. Like, you're so beautiful. Your story. You've been through so much. You could have died, but you're so resilient. Like he knew exactly what to say.
That is creepy ass
Creepy.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what cult leaders do. Like,
Yep.
I don't know if it's subconscious or conscious. They just find people that are like at that moment of their life where they're most vulnerable
Yeah.
to love bombing and all this shit. It's just
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
diabolical.
Yeah. In the past, I had really like kept my heart guarded. It was going to take somebody special to bring those walls down. But after going through cancer and like being so vulnerable, being so self-conscious, also being like, I don't know if this is the end. Like, I don't know how much time I have left if cancer is going to come back again. Like, I do want to fall in love. I do want to find someone. So it was like, okay, wear your heart on your sleeve. This person's telling you everything that you want to hear. Don't second guess it. This is not the time in your life to second guess it. Just absorb it, take it all in, right? And so it just so happens this was the worst person it ever could have been.
Okay. And then so now bloop, let's
Yeah.
time shift again. So you are sober, single, or sober-ish. No, you started drinking again. Sorry. You started drinking again, single, and something else. What?
So I started to have like some symptoms of potentially a relapse or recurrence of cancer. And it had happened, honestly, numerous times since I had been cleared. I was still going into the clinic every 3 months to get tests done just to check. And so I think, as we've talked about, my anxiety also didn't make things better, right? Because it's true. My anxiety would manifest physically, like it was totally physical. And so I would go in and be convinced that the cancer was back. And they'd be like, Emily, like you are in great health. And it was like, okay, but last time I wasn't. Last time I wasn't. And they're like, okay, like we understand that there might be something else going on here, like anxiety related. So then I was, dealing with some of those health issues and like anxiety was really, really high. There was some like acid reflux things going on that I was like convinced I was having a heart attack. And so it was like, okay, so this is just my new normal. Like I'm just going to be
Paranoid.
yeah, and in and out of the doctor's office, like begging for reassurance. And then I started my master's. So I did a master's of education in developmental psychology, and it was at the University of Toronto in September of 2018. So through my master's was when I met my next boyfriend. I didn't like this person when I first met them. I was like,
That's a green flag, they say.
my program was like predominantly women, very few men. He just like kind of took a liking to me and I wasn't really like sure. Like I was like, I don't know. And then like our friendship kind of like blossomed into a relationship. Now I look back and I like want to throw up.
Sure.
And I say to my friends, because I met two of my now best friends I met in that program. And so they know him. And I was like, you couldn't have told me, maybe like, don't do that. But anyways, it was very short-lived. We were together from like April to August or something, like officially dating from April to August. He asked me to be his girlfriend right before he went on a guy's trip to Europe. And just the things that were posted on Instagram, and like here I still hadn't dealt with everything from the first relationship, the abusive one. There was cheating throughout that. Like afterwards, I learned that he had been cheating on me. Like he would leave the house and he would go cheat on me, and he was just sleeping around and constantly. And so I really brought that with me into this relationship. It was like, okay, kind of like expecting to be cheated on or like expecting to be manipulated. And yeah, when they went to Europe, I had found out that they had become friends with these girls, and I went to her Instagram profile and she was running through the hostel naked, and there was my boyfriend in the video, right? And so it's interesting like talking about it now, because I'm just like I feel so like kind of detached from that. Especially like my husband's my man and he's downstairs. But yeah, it definitely sort of like replicated some of the things that I had been through in the first relationship. He would tell me that he was going to go play tennis with some random girl that he had met through a tennis app. And I just had to trust him. Like I had questions and I was like, I don't really feel comfortable with that. And he was like, well, I'm just going to go do it. So
my first question is, there's a tennis app?
Yeah.
And people are hooking up on it?
I know.
Okay.
And my family did not like him at all. Like they thought that he was like
you didn't like him at first, for God's sake.
That's it, right? I'm like, Emily, like you should have just walked away. But it's fine. It was only a few months of my life, and then it was over. And it's interesting because I would say I'm someone like I hadn't dated many guys, hadn't been in many relationships. But like to me, it was like when you are in a relationship, it's because you can foresee a future together. And when I would think about it, I would be like, okay, but I don't see that. Like, I don't see us getting married. I don't see us having kids. And then it was like, but like, what am I doing? But I think I was also like scared to be alone because it was someone who I started to see all the time. And it was like it was some of that blending from that old relationship about like, who would I be if I wasn't with him anymore? I would have to find my own way because he was making the decisions, right? Once again, I was just like this little like sidekick on someone's arm.
Well, not just that other relationship, your relationship with alcohol too. You were scared of
that's true.
Who you were without it.
Yeah. And so I would say this relationship really became like codependent. And when it was over, it was hard. And it wasn't really clear if it was over. His mom even like called me afterwards and was like, don't give up hope. Like you're meant to be in our lives. Like you're meant to be with my son. And it was just a really confusing time. And
that's like the final red flag. If a mom.
Like, yeah. And he called my mom and said, your daughter has borderline personality disorder. She needs help. And by this time, I had already had other psych assessments that were like, you don't have BPD. That was how your trauma was manifesting. And so he all of a sudden thought that he was qualified to call my mom and tell her that I have borderline personality disorder and need serious help.
And your mom was like, oh, thank you for this. Honey, go be back with him. What the hell would you think? Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, no. So sometimes we look back and we're like, God, what was that time in our lives?
I wish him well.
Yeah.
I hope he's doing fine.
And then COVID hit. Like that was the end of 2019 and then COVID hit.
Wait, you had COVID in Ontario too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just a Regina thing.
It's just a Regina thing, imagine.
A big thank you to Emily for sharing her story and for her vulnerability. Make sure to return next week to listen to part 2 of Emily Quint's story. To find out more of Emily's advocacy, speaking, and her book, My Sunflower Soul, please go to the show notes. Please rate and review Bunny Hugs and Mental Health on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you are listening on. Please follow me on Instagram at Bunny Hugs Podcast and on Facebook, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. If If you enjoy the podcast and my guests, please go to buymeacoffee.com, and under Bunny Hugs Podcast, you can leave a one-time or a monthly tip. Any amount is extremely appreciated. You can find all my links in the show notes or at www.bunnyhugspodcast.com. Until next time, please remember to make your beds and take your meds.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.